Hi everyone, today we're exploring this little beige box. This is one of the most iconic computers in computing history, the Apple Macintosh Mac Plus. I was in year 9 when we first had these computers in our school. That was in 1988, 2 years after they came out. The Mac Plus was a game changer in computer history, and that's why it's my tech nomination for 1986. Let's take a deeper look. The Mac Plus was the third in the Apple lineup of Macintosh computers. First, the original Mac Plus 512 kilobyte came out, and then 2 years later, in 1986, the Mac Plus 1 megabyte. And that was a game changer. And you could add all sorts of external peripherals, such as an external hard drive, a floppy drive, or even a printer and other things, all through the SCI, a bit like USB today. So, of course, there was no internet back in those days, so everything went via disks. And these were the floppy disks, the 3¼ inch. And which, of course, you put into the slot to run your programs, to save your work, to install programs such as Adobe products, etc., etc. But those came much later. As far as operating systems, the Mac Plus used the operating system called Macintosh System Software. And in this particular case, I've got the 6.0 software running on both machines. There were so many radical new features to do with these Mac Plus computers, including the mouse, which was a mouse-operated desktop system. And the operating system itself and the system was powerful enough to run new desktop publishing systems such as Adobe PageMaker and other graphical interface software. And these really were radical machines. If you think about what computers would have been used at the time, people were using IBM computers, ATs, XTs. If you were lucky, you had an RGB monitor with full color. But most people, even back then, were using the single monochrome screens, such as the black with a green lighting. These bad boys, of course, were not color, but they did have a black and white interface, and you used the mouse to operate it. Now, the original 51K Mac came with a keyboard like this. Note only one section of keys, whereas the 1 megabyte successor came with a keyboard with a numerical keypad on the side. This really put them in the league of being serious hobby and business machines. Even for graphic designers, accountants, you could use your spreadsheet software, and of course, you could play games at home. So we first had one of these in the classroom, as I said earlier, in year 9, and it was specifically in the graphics department, whereas in the computer lab, we still had the Apple IIe computers, which were the monochrome black and green screens with no mouse. Everything was a keyboard driven. And of course, they used the big 5-inch floppy disks. So what do we think? This was the Mac Plus, my tech nomination for 1986. Do you have fond memories of having one of these yourself? Or are you younger? Do you have one now as a kind of throwback computer? Or are you seeing this for the very first time? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this look back at classic retro tech, then don't forget to subscribe and follow for other videos of a similar style.